movies. Oh, yes. Party peoples. Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for another episode of BrassReel Tonight. Oh, yes. Where we talk about everything coming to the big screen, everything coming out at home to stream, and all the shenanigans going on behind the scenes. Well, guys, today is a phenomenal day. Just because it's another weekend coming up, and that means I'm going to the movies tonight. Now, yeah, it's a little up and awkward right now because of the whole Delta variant thing just pushing forward like crazy. But I already had this ticket, and I'm going. I might tone it down after this a little bit, but maybe not, because a lot of times I go see movies during the day in the mornings, but lately I have been going to see them at that 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock hour on the Thursday night before it comes out so I can start working on my review for the weekend. But with that being said, I'm going to see Don't Breathe 2. Oh, man, I loved the first one. I don't know if you guys liked the first movie or remember the first movie or into it, any of that stuff, but it's phenomenal. I thought that Don't Breathe, the first movie, was excellent. Excellent movie. I was blown away, not just by the grit of it and how just badass the story was. I love Stephen Lang, by the way. And you see this picture I'm showing here. He plays this blind guy in part one. So the first Don't Breathe is all about how he's just in this blind man that lives in this house on his own. And these kids are sort of looking out after it, and they decide they want to go break into his house because he's a blind man. And they're like, oh yeah, we got all this shit we can steal from him. He's not going to see anything. Well, boy, are they mistaken. I'll just say that. It's a phenomenal movie, in my opinion. It's directed by Fede Alvarez, the same guy who did Evil Dead remake. And not only is it brutal in the kills, it's intense the whole way through, but the twist is phenomenal. And I've said this before. This is like a M. Night Shyamalan eat your heart out twist. Like I know that when he saw this movie, he was like, damn. But the reviews are in for Don't Breathe 2. And I can't wait. So this is actually a shot of him in Don't Breathe 2. You know, it's got a cooler look to it and everything like that. But now they're saying the sequel is just as good as the original one. In fact, they're saying that because it takes place several years later, they knew that they just had to make it better. And they knew that they had to put a twist in there that was going to be better. It's co-written by Fede Alvarez and Rodo Sayagus. I think that's what his name is. And Fede Alvarez is producing it, but he's not directing it this time. This time it's definitely that there's a newer guy directing. Let me see if I can find out who he is real quick. I got it right here. Oh, it's actually, no, it's not. I'm sorry. Anyways, I thought I had the director pulled up right here, but they're saying it's just as good as the original. And I'm all about it. I thought the original was phenomenal. Like I said, Stephen Lang, excellent job. I think he needs to be used in more stuff. I loved him in Avatar. And after that came out, I was just like, where's Stephen Lang? I was sure he was going to get role after role after that. And he's been acting for a long time. Avatar wasn't like his first role or anything. Don't Breathe, though, Don't Breathe 2 was the sequel I didn't expect to come out. But boy, am I excited about it. And also Fede Alvarez, because talking about this movie and how good it is. And remember, I was talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre yesterday, and he's behind that as well, at least production-wise. So, I mean, I think they're going the right direction there. He's saying then that an Evil Dead 2 is not out, or like a sequel to his Evil Dead that he made, the remake, is not out of the question. In fact, he says never say never, and he's like, it's not happening right here, right now. But he was talking to comicbook.com, and he says right here, with his own words, there's definitely a chance of a sequel. Problem is that we have to always stop saying that there's a chance, because then the headlines say the next day, there's a new movie coming. And it's like, no, there's not a new movie coming. It's just, we're always talking about it. And that's how directors are, for sure. But he goes on to say, he's like, we always discuss that. And there was some discussion very early on about a sequel, because me and Sam Raimi, all those guys, we're like a family. We're like a fraternity. And he's like, we never got to write it, though. And we never wrote the script. We knew where it was going to go. And at that point, for some reason, it just didn't happen. And for some reason, they went to the Evil Dead Rise route, which that's great because it's something new and different. And it still takes place in the Evil Dead world, from what I understand, in the original Evil Dead world. From what I understand, maybe not. But that's going to be great, I think. And like I said, I like the high rise feel to the Evil Dead stuff, or even sort of haunted buildings and all that. I said it before. I love Poltergeist 3. A lot of people hate that movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was well done. Had Tom Skerritt in it. And just to me, the idea of an apartment building or something like that being haunted and all jacked up because of the Book of the Dead, that just sounds intriguing to me. And it's still produced by Sam Raimi and Fede Alvarez. They're still behind it together. And it seems that Sam Raimi and Fede Alvarez have sort of garnered a relationship that's going to last forever now. It looks like that, at least. Sam Raimi is an awesome horror director for sure, but I think that he's better when he stretches out a horror. Like the Drag Me to Hell movie he did, I love the concept, but the effects in it were way too CG. I mean, it was nothing but CGI effects. And I get that that was what they were using to make that movie with, and I understand. You make a choice, and that's where you go with it. But when you have Evil Dead 1, 2, and 3 that are all the way practical effects, I was just like, come on, Sam, I don't like this. Because like I said, the premise is great. I love the premise of it. The story's good, the acting's good. Nothing is wrong there. It's just that CGI gore and effects they use the entire film. It's not just for a little while, it's the entire movie. And anyways, looking forward to Don't Breathe 2 tonight, guys. That's really exciting. Like I said, for me, going to the movies is like my favorite thing to do. It's not necessarily like, going to be as big as, oh my God, I just got the new PlayStation 5. Of course, that's a different type of milestone and feeling. But for like, if I don't go to the movies, I start getting depressed for real. And I love watching stuff in my home theater and all that stuff. That's all great. And I'm completely blessed, but every movie's better on the big screen. Movies were designed to be seen on the big screen for the most part, especially movies like Don't Breathe, where you can be all scared and everything, and it's all tense in the theater. And I love watching horror with other people. To me, that's just part of it. And I think everybody enjoys watching movies with someone else. I mean, not that I don't enjoy watching movies by myself, but it's way more fun when you're with people, especially if you're with your friends. So I'm excited about Don't Breathe 2 tonight, just because it's the movie, but I'm genuinely excited about the movie itself. I don't mean to hold up high expectations, but I am holding up something there because of the reviews that are getting. Now they're saying it's as good as the original. So hell yeah, bring it on. We'll jump into something completely different in a total different genre. And this is kind of weird, but the Home Alone reboot has been announced fully as far as the release date. It's coming out November 12th, which is interesting to me. And it's got this little dude from Jojo Rabbit. You remember him? And they've cast the complete cast now. And it's going to be Ellie Kemper, Rob Delaney, Kenan Thompson are going to be some of the side characters in it. I'm not sure exactly who they're playing. Sorry, let me switch this graphic here. So that's fine, whatever. But the one that I'm looking forward to is seeing this dude right here, because he's definitely hilarious in Jojo Rabbit, just as much as the other kid is. But this kid that's on the side almost stole the show. Archie Yates is his name. And now here's the deal. It's a Disney Plus release. That's already straight to Disney Plus release. No theatrical release at all. That's already got me worried. And then on top of that, do we need a Home Alone remake? I mean, come on. It's such a definitive classic, directed by Chris Columbus. And look, I love part 1 and 2. I think they're equally as good. Some people say that 2 is just a ripoff of 1, but of course they're just trying to up the game with it, and it's the same type of scenario in a different geographical location and a set of circumstances and all that. But it's still hilarious. I mean, to me, some of the better. I think I laugh out loud a little harder in part 2. Home Alone 1 has probably a little bit more of the heartfelt moments for sure, and they try to replicate that in part 2. But I think they're equally as good. Like I said, directed by Chris Columbus, written by John Hughes, music by John Williams. That's one of those movies that was a lightning in the bottle type of movie. I mean, like I said, I know that they have to be aware that there's no way they can capture what they capture with those movies originally. One, as cute as this kid David Yates is, or not David Yates, what is it? I drew a blank on this. Is it David Yates? I just had it up there. Archie Yates. Okay, sorry about that. Look, okay, so that kid is cute. He's great. I love him. But part of what sold the first one was cute little Macaulay and just his everything about him. I don't know. To be replicating it already is you're already not creating that original magic that the original Home Alone had. Like that was part of the fun of Home Alone. No one was expecting that movie to be as charming as it was. No one was expecting it to turn out to be a movie that families watch every year at Christmas time. They were expecting it to be a cool movie that maybe did well for the holiday season, and that's it. Maybe. They had no idea the cultural phenomenon it would turn into, and it's because it was lightning in a bottle. Back to the Future was the same way. Goonies was the same way. Things like that can't be replicated all the time because what was happening was like that lightning in the bottle concept, that it was just like, boom, everything that's in place right here in this time and moment and people. That's why these movies happened like that. So for them to try to replicate it, I'm just kind of, And I mean, sure, people are going to watch it on Disney Plus, especially if you already got it. Why not? I'll check it out. I have to. I'm going to have to review it because I love the originals. And they're releasing all this cool stuff. Is Ellie Kemper cool? Yeah, she's awesome. This guy, he's cool, I guess. Kenan Thompson, great. I love him. This kid, I love him. But I just don't know if they just have any business doing it. I don't need a Home Alone remake. I think most people will agree with me, especially, okay, you might have some families and some kids that want to see the remake and stuff like that, but that's just a movie you don't touch, in my opinion. It's like Back to the Future. You'll never see that remade. At least Bob Gale and Spielberg and Robert Zemeckis all said, at least while I'm alive, that movie is never getting remade. Any three of those guys, they still have any power and control over that movie, Back to the Future. It'll never get remade, which it doesn't need to. You just can't recreate that. It would be stupid. People would be comparing way too much to it. And I think that's what's going to happen in this Home Alone movie. I think I'm going to be watching it the whole time and doing nothing but comparing it to the original movies. Being like, well, look what they did there. It's just not, sorry. You're either ripping it off or it's not as good. They should call it's called, and that's another thing. It's called Home Sweet Home Alone. I mean, might as well call it Beating a Dead Horse. Didn't they make a third one that was already terrible? Maybe they even made 4 of them. Hell, I got to start looking that up, but I just don't know if I want a Home Alone reboot. What do you mean? What am I saying? I don't know if I want one. I don't want one. I don't want a Home Alone reboot. But they see something that's marketable and they think they're going to make some money off of it, which, I mean, they might. I don't know if anybody's going to, I don't know if they'll gain new subscribers because of a Home Alone remake. You know, if you were releasing, like, I think they gain new subscribers because of Loki or because of WandaVision, things like that. I don't know if they're going to gain new subscribers for a Home Alone remake. Maybe they might get some subscribers over the Christmas time, over the holidays, and like they'll see, okay, yeah, we'll get people signing up for 1 month over Christmas so they can watch some Christmas stuff, and maybe they'll forget to, you know, sign out or cut it off. Or even if they look at it like we can have a bonus month of Christmas. Maybe that's their mindset with this movie, but coming out November 12th, they're definitely releasing it in time so it can be on there for Christmas time. I'm just wish they weren't doing it. I don't really care about it. Like I said, I will watch it because that's what I do. I'll watch it all, watch everything, but I don't really care to. Okay. Moving on though, to something a little more interesting. So just recently, Tom Hardy was quoted that he's been working really hard to get Spider-Man and Venom on screen together. Like he wants it to happen. He'd do anything to make it happen. I think it's got to happen. It's Spider-Man and Venom. How do you not make it happen? I was already pissed that they made a Venom movie without Spider-Man, even though I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was awesome, but I enjoyed it. But it's got to be inevitable for it to happen. I've been saying this. And if they don't do it, I think they're missing out because we all want to see that. And he says right now, Tom Hardy spoke to Esquire, and he said that he's admittedly actively in trying to make a crossover between the two movies. He said, I would be remiss if I wasn't trying to steer any kind of connectivity. I wouldn't be doing the job if I wasn't awake and open to any opportunity or eventuality or be excited by that, he said. So he doesn't have any control. And he also says, but at the end of the day, they're not doing it but I still think it's something to be excited about and try to push forward. There's a lot of hurdles to jump over, but I still think it's something that I want to petition for. Well, I think that that's just red herring stuff, because look, you got Venom Let There Be Carnage coming out, and they already shown in the trailer of Morbius that Adrian Toomes as the Vulture is in there. And there's already rumors that Tom Hardy's showing up in the Morbius movie. Now that makes sense completely on the movie studio front, because they're all Sony films. That's the Sony Marvel universe. But they gotta interact all this shit. They have to, especially they got to use their opportunity when the multiverse thing is happening with the MCU. Use that as your excuse to be able to wiggle it in there. Because look, we all want to see this. We have to see this. Spider-Man and Venom it would be a travesty if the entire time that Spider-Man and Venom, while they're both existing in the movie world, if they didn't have some sort of a crossover. If these movies died out by the time Tom Holland isn't Spider-Man anymore and Tom Hardy isn't Venom anymore, and they didn't do a crossover, I mean, that's just a shame. That's just a straight up travesty. It's just a full-on shame that you don't do that. It's like you're supposed to do that. Venom doesn't exist without Spider-Man. And they did a decent enough job of creating the character on screen without Spider-Man being involved. But that's just not how it happens in the comics at all. Spider-Man is a key ingredient to why Venom is Venom. I mean, they're symbiotic to each other. It's the symbiote. Now, I know that's not just what the symbiote means, but I just want them to be together. I think they have to. I know I'm saying it over and over and over, but Spider-Man and Venom, to both have their own movies and to not do crossovers is stupid, especially when crossovers is the thing. That's what everybody's doing now. So I just think that it'll be a huge missed opportunity if they don't do it. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they will. Maybe there'll be another 5, 6, 7 years. Who knows? But that's 5, 6, 7 years too long. It's for damn sure. But anyways, moving on. This is sort of my main talk today. And I don't have a huge long show either today, guys. There just wasn't a lot to talk about. I've even before I start going, before I get all my news articles together, I get everything that I need to look at, everything I want to type out. I transfer things, I reformat things, all these things. And then I even look right before I'm about to start the broadcast, about 15 minutes beforehand, just to make sure no other news came out. And it just wasn't a big day for movie news. So we got movies coming out. I'll have a review coming this weekend for sure. Don't Breathe 2. Oh, yeah. I know I'm overexcited about every movie, but that's just what I do. I love movies. It is movies and music and games and comics. Those are my true loves in life, true passions that will never, ever leave me. I'll always be hugely into those things. So I'm just pumped up about tonight, and that review is going to be awesome. So you guys got to tune in for that. Well, last thing I'm going to talk about, guys, and kind of the main thing I'm talking about is that we got Free Guy coming out this weekend as well. And this is Disney's first one that they're not releasing in theater. I mean, that they're not releasing on Disney Plus, just straight to theater. And it's the first one in a year to have just a traditional theatrical release. So I'm wondering if I called this. I knew that they weren't going to release it on Disney Plus. Now, one of the things is it's not fully being branded as a Disney movie, because this is an actual 20th Century Studios movie. This is something that fell over from 20th Century Fox to Disney, because Ryan Reynolds had a contract with 20th Century Fox. But when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, I know I say this all the time, but I'll say it again. They didn't want to end the 20th Century Fox. They just wanted to change the name. They just want to get rid of the Fox name. So they just changed 20th Century Fox to 20th Century Studios. So this still has all that shit in there. Like all the Predator and Alien movies are still going to be coming out under 20th Century Studios. So that's what this was. So technically, it's not a full-on Disney film as far as they're not slandering their name on it. It is owned by Disney, but this movie, the profits are directly going to Disney. It's not like that they're sharing it with anybody else. This is Disney's movie. It's just not branded that way. It looks really good. The reviews have come out and said that it's pretty decent, and Ryan Reynolds is extremely heartfelt in it for sure. He's awesome in it. They said that the plot line is kind of okay, decent, whatever. We'll see. I'm not expecting it to do super great. They're saying that they're expecting it to do a $20 million rollout, and anything under that would be pretty disappointing. And see how it says, since the Disney and 20th Century Studios movie, it costs more than $100 million to produce. So this is going on some of the stuff I'm talking about. It's like a movie that costs $100 million to make. If they don't get right now, the opening weekends for movies, the opening week for movies kind of is the only thing that's been mattering. After that, the sales are just dropping in every movie. The sales decline hugely after the first weekend. And it's not always like that, because most of the time people are just getting out and about. But from my theory is only the diehard fans are going on movies in the theater, and they're diehard fans, so they're seeing it when they come out. The people that are just casual movie watchers are just staying home and watching stuff on streaming and waiting for that to come out on some sort of streaming platform. But people like me and the other diehards out there, we're going to see the movie opening weekend because we're the only ones going to the theater, and we're excited to see it so we can do our thing, and we want to be caught up. So we're seeing it that opening weekend. That to me is why the sales are dropping significantly, because the casual movie lover isn't going to see movies all the time anymore in the summer. Before COVID, the summertime was like the time where people went to movies. A lot of times parents would just drop their kids off at the movies during the day, or the kids would be like, yeah, go see movies once a week, twice a week, once every 2 weeks. That didn't happen this summer with anything, or last summer, because parents is like, nah, you ain't going into, I'm not letting you go into somewhere to watch a movie. You can watch that at home or watch something else. So like I said, I'd be surprised if this movie hit 20 million. It might, because it might get some family viewing, but Jungle Cruise barely made that. I think Jungle Cruise was like 26 million, barely made that. And everything's been declining in order. Like I'm telling you, my projections, this movie's not going to hit 20 million. Suicide Squad was supposed to be amazing. And it was a huge, from what they projected, a huge underachievement on that. And Suicide Squad was great. It wasn't perfect, but it was awesome. I mean, it was so much fun. It was great. It was nothing was compared to what F9 was. It's like, I can't believe that movie made so much money compared to this, but I'll go back to it. F9 only came out in the theaters. So that might be a saving grace for this movie. The fact that it's only being released in theaters. But now with the Delta variant just hitting like this and shutting everything down completely, mask mandates, all that stuff, I'm just worried that we're just going to have another low scoring movie as far as sales are concerned, because the reviews have already said that the movie is charming and it really works. But a lot of these things that they're doing with the past of Disney is why I feel like that they're really going to be in trouble. I don't feel like that Free Guy is going to be the one that's going to make them make or break it. I don't feel like Free Guy had a huge audience. I feel like if they would have just put Black Widow in theaters and that's it, one, she wouldn't have any reason to be pissed or putting out any sort of lawsuit. And then Kevin Feige wouldn't be pissed because he's following her. And then they actually might have made some money. I think a lot of people actually would have gone to see Black Widow. Not like people would have gone to see Endgame or anything like that, but I do think people would have gone to see it. But they had the option to watch it on Disney Plus. And again, if you're a family of 3, it's cheaper to watch it on Disney Plus than go to the theaters. So, I mean, right away. And most people are way more than a family of 3, so family 5, 6, I've already done this math in the past. So a lot of this is because of this guy right here, Bob Chapek. Now, I don't think that maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't want this guy to be involved with Disney anymore if he's the one behind all these decisions like this and stirring the pot. And if you guys may have heard me talk on one of my other shows, he's doing the same thing and stirring up this whole diversity thing with Disney. Disney's trying to implement all these things with their shows by like Loki being bi, just trying to include diversity more, including the LGBTQ community more, all that stuff. And now they are straight up have said, yeah, we've cut out certain things in the programming in certain markets. So for example, and I'm just using this as an example. This isn't any factual information, but let's say like a real Southern market where people aren't cool with a lot of LGBTQ lifestyles or things like that, then they're cutting certain parts out of the actual show on their streaming platforms in that demographic. So that's kind of jacked up if you ask me. And Kevin Feige's mad about that. Bob Iger is mad about that. And look, Bob Iger, when he was there, he let the talent do what they did. He let the talent create. He didn't pigeonhole them into a corner and tell them they had to do this. He didn't filter them when they were coming in. Of course, if you're under the Disney umbrella, there's certain things you can't do. But the Avengers movies and the Marvel films did way more than any other Disney movies were as far as violence and language and things like that. But everybody loved working with Bob Iger. Doesn't he look like, we're just a side shoot, doesn't he look like an older Hugh Jackman? Cool looking guy. And a great guy from what I understand. Everybody had so many great things to say about Bob Iger. Right now, everybody's mad at Bob Chapek. Everybody thinks that this guy is just screwing up everything that Bob Iger did. It's kind of like when presidents get in office and they're completely different parties. It's just like, great. This guy's just destroying everything the last guy did. And I feel like that's what's happening right now with Disney. And can Free Guy save him? Maybe it can. Maybe Free Guy, I would love for Free Guy to do like something like 25, 30 million. That would be great for them in this time. And any other time, they would expect at least like a $70 to $75 million opening weekend. But right now, they're worried that they won't even hit 20 million. And rightfully so. And I'm not dogging on them not being able to make that in the theater at all. I'm dogging on Disney in the sense of the whole Black Widow thing and stuff like that. And it's just funny to me that it's like, now this is the movie you're deciding to completely release in the theater, but it isn't a full-on Disney brand. It is a 20th Century Fox movie that they inherited. But I do wish them well, and I hope it's going to be good. I know that Don't Breathe 2 is where my heart lies this weekend. I might go see Free Guy at some point, but I'm going to see this first and getting this review done for this first. I think this one, to me, is more exciting. I'm a horror movie lover, so I'm definitely going to be reviewing this. But I'm not confident it's going to make a lot of money. I just am not. Quiet Place 2, that's a different style of film in the sense that people that don't usually like horror films still could like Quiet Place and Quiet Place 2. Like, that one didn't appeal just to horror lovers. Yes, it's a horror movie at its core, but it is a lot more than that. And it does appeal to people that don't normally like just horror films. Don't Breathe is jacked up. The kills are going to be brutal from what I understand. They were in the last one. And just the twist alone, to me, was awesome. But there are some people, if you're not a horror movie fan, you would be appalled at that twist. But horror movie fans love it. So I'm not sure it's going to make a ton of money. I would love for it to make a ton of money. Nothing would make me happier for it to make a ton of money. At the end of the day, though, I just want it to be awesome. And I do want it to make money, but I do want it to be awesome. And I think it's going to be good enough. Just from the reviews, it's already getting some good ones saying it's equally as good. So that's good enough for me. Most of the time, they're not as good, and I still enjoy them. Also, guys, that's going to do it for the show. But also, if you got something you want me to talk about and you weren't able to send anything in the comments or anything, watch it live, send something to BrassReelBobby@gmail.com. Any questions that you think that I would know the answer to, anything you want to talk about, discuss, anything like that. I want to get involved with the community way more and definitely get just some interaction going, some rapport going back, a common conversation consistently. So send it to BrassReelBobby@gmail.com if you can't ever send it in the comments live. But if you're watching live, feel free to always send something into the comments too. And if you haven't seen all my videos or checked out my channel yet, check that out. I got a lot of reviews on there, my hot, fresh popcorn reviews. Those are awesome. They're cool. They're nice and edited, and you'll see what I mean if you check them out. But also, guys, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button if you can help us make it to the top. And hit that like button if you enjoy watching this video. I'm going to take off, guys. I'm going to be off for the rest of the weekend. This show's just the Monday through Thursday, so I'm going to do my review tomorrow and go see Don't Breathe 2 tonight. Well, y'all enjoy y'all's weekend, guys. I love y'all with all my heart. And peace. See you Monday.